So I have to go back and talk about Patrick Coffin. Or as I called him, Father Patrick Coffin. I ordained him a priest accidentally. He was the Catholic answer man who was on our show on Thursday, and I thought he was great, really interesting. I disagree with him a lot, as I made clear on the show, but I got a lot of reaction to this. A lot of people were really happy that he was on, and they were really happy that he got to say what he said, but I got a bunch of people emailing me and tweeting me saying, oh, you shouldn't let him on, you should have challenged him, you should have gotten on his face. And my whole point about bringing people on is letting them speak. Obviously saying something evil. Somebody said these are dangerous ideas. I love that idea. What is a dangerous idea? You know what a dangerous idea? Nobody thinks an idea is dangerous to them. They think it's dangerous to other people because they think they're too smart to be hurt by an idea. But other people are stupid. All those other people are stupid. The only dangerous idea is the idea that other ideas should be shut down. The only dangerous thought is what Chesterton, I think, called the thought that stops thought. So what Coffin was saying was he believed, like a good Catholic, a devout Catholic, that sex has a purpose. The purpose is to create children. You shouldn't use birth control. You should have a loving marriage in which every act of sex has the possibility of life. And this is based on Aristotelian natural law. The idea is that everything has a purpose. Human beings have a purpose. The eye has a purpose to see and all this, and you use things for their purpose. And the purpose of a human being is to become united with God. All these things are interesting, and I actually believe in natural law. This is the reason I get along with Catholics, but also disagree with Catholics. I believe in natural law. I believe in the premises, but I don't believe in their conclusions. And the reason I don't believe in their conclusions is they are suspiciously convenient. Okay, you say that every act of sex should have the possibility of life, and you say, well, what if two 60-year-old people get married, or two people are married and the wife stops being able to have children and they go on having a wonderful sex life? Well, that's okay, because you're not trying to stop the baby. And you say, okay, well, you're not trying to stop the baby if you're two guys, or you're not, no, but that's no good. That is no good, And then you say, well, okay, well, what if you're a married couple, but you like kind of sex that doesn't, leave the possibility of, no, that's no good. And you start to think like, well, wait a minute. It just always comes out to be the way you want it to be. There's things that you approve of and things that you disapprove of. And I'm not talking about religion at all here, okay? When it comes to religion, I believe that you should be praying to God about everything about your life, including your sex life, and he will inform you, and reading your Bible, and you will be informed about what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. That's not the point. The point is basically your life. And the thing about sex is that sex is a really difficult subject, obviously. Well, let's start with this. Something is terribly wrong with our attitude towards sex. And let me read you something from a British paper, all right? Killing babies, no different from abortion, experts say. Parents should be allowed to have their newborn babies killed because they are morally irrelevant, and ending their lives is no different to abortion. A group of medical ethicists linked to Oxford University has argued. Their article, entitled After Birth Abortion, Why Should the Baby Live?, argued the moral status of an infant is equivalent to that of a fetus in the sense that both lack those properties that justify the attribution of a right to life to an individual. These are guys associated with Oxford University, a great university. Something is terribly wrong. All right, something is terribly wrong when we have people arguing like this. It makes you think that the only problem with Adolf Hitler is he was ahead of his time. The left always, whenever you disagree with the left, they call you Hitler. It seems like their only problem was not that Hitler was bad. It was just too soon, Adolf, too soon. That is a Hitlerian vision that these people are selling. So something is terribly, terribly wrong in our relationship to our bodies and in our relationship to ourselves. And I think it's very natural for the church to say, oh, you've left us behind and you have to come back to us. And I think that the guy has a right to make that argument. I'm not quite so sure. I believe that the only way forward is through. The only way out is through. But the problem, there's a short story by Ursula K. Le Guin, and it was on Stuff I Like. So maybe we'll make it Stuff I Like again. It's called The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelis. The ones who, and I'm going to tell you the story because it's not really a story. It's really a philosophical musing, so there's not spoilers in it. But Omelas is a beautiful community and a country that works great. Everything goes well. Everything is beautiful. It's peaceful. It's prosperous. Everything is fine. And as long as you're a child in Omelas, you don't know anything else about it except everything is just absolutely great. But when you reach majority, they take you down into a cellar and you find that there is one child who, in order to get all the evil out of society, has to be tortured and abused. And this one child is constantly tortured and abused, and that's what keeps Omelas running, okay? And the ones who walk away from Omelas, we don't even know where they're going. And as the author says, she says, the place they're going may not even exist. But they can't bear the fact that this injustice on this one child has to be maintained in order to keep Omelas working as well as it does. Sex is a little bit like that, okay? Because you'll notice that great societies at their peak tend to be sexually conservative. If you look at the Victorian era, one of the greatest eras ever in the history of any nation, the British Victorian era, of course, we know the Victorian era is almost a byword for being sexually conservative. If you look at the 50s in America, when America really did rise from a great power to the greatest power, that was a very sexually conservative time. If you look at the Augustan age, which is universally regarded as a time, even though Augustus disassembled the machinery of the Republic, the Roman Republic, and instituted an empire, the Roman Republic was essentially dead. So Augustus was doing the only thing that could be done. And there was then really a golden age, even of freedom, even though there wasn't political freedom, there were all other kinds of freedom. But Augustus was very sexually conservative, and it tends to work well for a society to be sexually conservative. If everybody's getting married, if everybody's taking care of his own kids, if nobody is throwing their children onto the state as a burden, the society tends to work better. But down in the cellar are the people who don't fit in, right? These are the people. This is like the child in Omelas. The people who don't fit in are down in the cellar, being forced into lives of hypocrisy, being forced into lives of being an outsider, of being excluded, of being rejected by the society in which they live. The gay people, the weird transgender people, the oddballs, the sexual oddballs, they are the ones who are down in the cellar. The left are usually the ones who walk away from Omelas. The left are usually the ones who say, yes, the society's prosperous, it's free, it's safe, it's great, but wait, the poor little person here is being tormented. Let's destroy the society in order to, save this one person. The right are usually the people who say, no, everybody has to get in line and make the society work, and if somebody has to be down in the cellar, that's the way it's got to be. I actually do believe that there is a third way, and I do believe that while I believe in natural law, I do believe that creation, God's creation, is so various, so full of variety, that there are people who don't fit into the categories that natural law provides to the human mind. I mean, I know that sex is best done in marriage. I know that married people have the best sex. I know that, remembering what sex is about, that it's about creation and about love, is the way to run your sex life in a way that will make you happy. I understand that. I also understand there are people who are different, troubled, maybe just created in a different way. And this is not a religious point. I'm not talking about what God thinks of them. I'm not talking about what God thinks they should do. I'm talking about you and me as tolerant, loving, forgiving people living that life that God told us to live, in which we pay attention to our own sins and not the sins of others. I think there has got to be a new relationship to natural law in which we take the individual into account, and the tension between our differences with natural law, our difference with the kind of ideal idea of a human being. That tension somehow creates a path to God, which is really what I think does happen when people are left alone with love. I do think that in a society, you're going to have to elevate the norm. You're going to have to elevate people who are married and have children and all that stuff, and you're going to have to respect them at a different level, possibly. But that doesn't mean you have to torment and torture the rest of people, and it doesn't mean that everybody can live according to the same prescription. And that's where I disagree with Patrick Coffin, but I certainly think that he should be able to make his argument and come on without being shouted down. I'm going to bring him back because I thought he was terrific, and I thought he has a lot to say about other things as well.